Few books have captured the essence of ruling with as much intrigue and controversy as Niccolò Machiavelli's The Prince. Written in 1513, this political masterpiece remains one of the most influential and debated guides to power in history. But what exactly does it teach us? Italy in the 1500s, the world of Niccolò Machiavelli. Machiavelli penned The Prince during a tumultuous time in Italy's history. City-states like Florence, Venice, and Milan were constantly at war, chaos. Machiavelli himself had served as a diplomat and government official, but after losing his position when the Medici family returned to power, he wrote The Prince as advice for rulers, especially the Medici. Think of it as a how-to manual for maintaining power during a time of chaos. Machiavelli believed a ruler's primary goal was to preserve stability and security, even if it meant using unsavory methods. His book was shocking for its era. It challenged traditional views of leadership, which emphasized virtue and morality. Machiavelli argued that sometimes a prince must act ruthlessly to protect his state. Machiavelli saw power as the currency of politics. For him, understanding power dynamics was key to a ruler's success. He believed rulers shouldn't rely solely on love or loyalty. Power, in Machiavelli's view, was about control. It was about ensuring obedience from your subjects and commanding respect from your rivals. He argued that fear, while a harsh tool, was a more reliable instrument than love. A prince who inspired fear, Machiavelli argued, was less likely to be betrayed. Love, being fickle, was a weaker foundation for authority. He suggested that a prince should strive to be both loved and feared, but if forced to choose, fear was the safer bet. To understand Machiavelli's ideas, we need to understand his world. Italy in the 16th century was a fragmented patchwork of city-states, each vying for dominance. Intrigue, betrayal, and warfare were commonplace. Machiavelli witnessed firsthand the brutal realities of this era. He saw rulers rise and fall, often victims of their own naivete or idealism. The Prince was his response to this chaotic landscape. His book was a reflection of the times, a guide for survival in a world where morality often took a back seat to pragmatism. He argued that a ruler couldn't afford to be guided by abstract principles when faced with existential threats. Machiavelli believed in two forces shaping a ruler's success: fortuna, luck or fortune, and virtue, a ruler's ability to adapt, take bold actions, and shape their destiny. He emphasized that great leaders must actively seize opportunities and not rely solely on luck. He was advocating for calculated ruthlessness when necessary. He argued that fear, while unpleasant, was a powerful motivator. It instilled obedience and discouraged rebellion. Love, on the other hand, was fragile and easily broken, especially in the cutthroat world of Renaissance politics. However, Machiavelli also cautioned against being hated. A ruler who earned the hatred of his people would be vulnerable to uprisings. The key was to find a balance, to be feared enough to command respect, but not so cruel as to provoke rebellion. Machiavelli famously used animal metaphors to illustrate his points. These metaphors were not just whimsical comparisons, but deeply rooted in the political realities of his time. He believed a prince needed the qualities of both a lion and a fox to rule effectively. The lion and the fox were not chosen at random. They represented the dual nature of leadership that Machiavelli deemed essential. The lion represented strength and decisiveness, essential for waging war and maintaining order. In times of conflict, a prince must be able to demonstrate power and command respect, much like a lion in the wild. The fox, on the other hand, symbolized cunning and deception. In the intricate web of court politics and diplomacy, a prince must be able to outwit his rivals and navigate through treacherous waters. Machiavelli argued that a prince must be willing to use trickery and manipulation when necessary to achieve his goals. This was not a call for constant deceit, but a pragmatic approach to governance. He saw these qualities not as vices, but as tools of statecraft. In Machiavelli's view, the end often justified the means, especially when the stability of the state was at stake. He believed that a ruler who adhered rigidly to moral principles would be outmaneuvered by more ruthless opponents. In a world filled with ambitious and unscrupulous leaders, sticking strictly to moral codes could be a fatal flaw. Where everyone else was playing dirty, a prince couldn't afford to fight with one hand tied behind his back. Machiavelli's insights were a reflection of the harsh realities of Renaissance politics, where survival often depended on a delicate balance of strength and cunning. Machiavelli also used historical examples to illustrate his points. One figure who fascinated him was Cesare Borgia, the son of Pope Alexander VI. Borgia was a ruthless and ambitious ruler who expanded his family's power in central Italy. Machiavelli admired Borgia's decisiveness and his willingness to use any means necessary to achieve his goals. He saw in Borgia a model for how a prince could succeed in a dangerous world. However, Machiavelli also acknowledged Borgia's flaws. He noted that Borgia's ruthlessness ultimately led to his downfall. This suggests that even Machiavelli recognized the limits of amoral pragmatism. While The Prince is often remembered for its focus on warfare and deception, Machiavelli also addressed other aspects of rulership. He believed a prince should be concerned with the welfare of his people, arguing that a prosperous state was a stable state. He encouraged rulers to promote agriculture, commerce, and the arts. He recognized that a prince's legitimacy rested not only on fear, but also on the perception that he was a wise and just ruler. He stressed the importance of public works projects and laws that benefited the common good. He argued that a content populace was less likely to rebel, further highlighting the link between a ruler's power and the well-being of his subjects. Machiavelli's ideas continue to spark debate centuries after his death. His writings, particularly The Prince, have been scrutinized, analyzed, and interpreted in countless ways. Scholars and historians have long debated the true intentions behind his words. His name has become synonymous with cunning, ruthlessness, and the pursuit of power by any means. Yet, to reduce Machiavelli to just these traits is to overlook the depth and complexity of his thoughts. But his work is far more nuanced than this simplistic caricature suggests. Machiavelli was a keen observer of human nature and political life. He understood that the world of politics is often a murky one, where moral absolutes are rare. His insights into power dynamics, leadership, and the role of deception in politics remain relevant today. Machiavelli's observations about the necessity of pragmatism in leadership resonate with modern-day leaders who must navigate complex political landscapes. We see echoes of his ideas in the actions of political leaders, business executives, and even in our personal lives. The strategies he described are not confined to the halls of power. They permeate boardrooms, negotiations, and everyday interactions. While few leaders today openly embrace Machiavelli's more ruthless prescriptions, his work serves as a reminder that the pursuit of power often involves difficult choices and compromises. The ethical dilemmas he highlighted are still very much alive in contemporary decision-making. His writings continue to challenge us to think critically about the nature of leadership and the relationship between means and ends. Machiavelli's legacy endures, prompting us to reflect on the balance between ethical considerations and practical necessities in the quest for power and influence. Machiavelli's The Prince remains a controversial and enduring work. Written in the early 16th century, it has sparked countless discussions and debates over the centuries. It's a product of its time, a reflection of the brutal realities of Renaissance Italy. The political landscape was fragmented, with city-states constantly vying for power and influence. Yet its insights into power, leadership, and the human condition continue to resonate. Machiavelli's observations about human nature and the complexities of governance are as relevant today as they were then. His work is a testament to the enduring power of ideas. The Prince has been studied by scholars, politicians, and leaders across generations, each finding new layers of meaning and relevance. It forces us to confront uncomfortable truths about the nature of power and the challenges of leadership. Machiavelli's pragmatic approach often clashes with idealistic views, making us question our own beliefs and assumptions. Whether we agree with his conclusions or not, Machiavelli's The Prince remains a vital contribution to political thought, sparking debate and challenging our assumptions about how the world works. It encourages us to look beyond the surface and understand the deeper motivations and strategies at play. His legacy is one of pragmatism, realism, and a willingness to grapple with the complexities of power. Machiavelli did not shy away from the darker aspects of human nature. Instead, he sought to understand and navigate them. He reminds us that the world is rarely black and white, and that even the most well-intentioned leaders sometimes face difficult choices that defy easy moral categorization. In a world filled with shades of grey, Machiavelli's work remains a crucial guide for those seeking to understand the intricate dance of power and politics. Please like this video and subscribe to my channel.